The Team Supreme podcast is brought to you by the voices of Jason Schomer and Yashar Coffee and produced by Matt Sewell, who is me. I am Matt Sewell. If you got a moment, leave a comment about the podcast or give us a rating or share with your friends. Enjoy.
I'm from New Jersey. He's from Iran. It's good enough for a podcast. We're Team Supreme. When did noticing the opposite sex start? Like, when was, there was always obviously girls and boys, but like, when did it become interesting? How early did it? I remember making, having girlfriends when I was in kindergarten, like a girlfriend. When we said like, oh, this is my girlfriend, I'm her boyfriend, and that didn't go more than holding hands, but that it was definitely an established more than friends in everybody's eyes in the kindergarten. I remember that. But
I think when I was in kindergarten, I was told yeah, you need to get married someday, or
right,
you need to find a wife or something. And then there was this one girl that I told my parents, I want her to be my wife. They said, well, no, for now she's your fiance because you're very young. So that was just an idea for me, this is it. But there was no real attraction or anything. I just thought
was it boys and girls mixed together?
Boys and girls, yeah, in the kindergarten.
Right.
And then they enrolled me at a different kindergarten, and there were these two girls in the minibus that we used to take home, and they used to beat the crap out of me and this other guy. So then the idea of oh, these are going to be one of them is going to be my fiance or wife, and all just went away. I was just defending myself because they were a year or two older, so they were bigger.
We all had early relationships, all had first girlfriends, I'm assuming around, was it around that same time? Was it around 12 years old, or when that shifted, or actual girlfriends?
Yeah, no, I was, I think my actual sort of girlfriend when I was 16.
Mine was, I was a freshman in college. The actual words defined, that's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I had made out and stuff
right.
In high school, but it was not with a girl where I wanted to be it wasn't the girlfriend.
So, yeah, we all had, did you have, spin the bottle games or any kind of, when it came to around, 6th, 7th grade, around that time when guys and girls were getting together, in a different way for the first time? Did you have those kind of parties where you had spin the bottle? Did you have spin the bottle or truth or dare?
No, we didn't have those games. But also, I remember back then the schools were separated after kindergarten. Guys would go to different schools.
Yeah.
So if you had a girlfriend and you would get together at some friend's house, it would be limited to just talking or dancing or something.
Gotcha.
But or outside coffee shop or
yeah.
But no games. It's a very now it's changed so much, but
right.
Back then it was very conservative. Yeah, you would make out and all, but it would be to that extent.
I remember the actual party where this big shift happened in my grade level. In my grade, my class, I was going up through all the grades. It was at 6th grade, towards the end of 6th grade. And it was this girl Linda's after-school party, boys and girls.
Linda, I only picture Linda's as 50 to 60-year-old aunts.
Oh,
I want you to know that.
She was in her late 40s. She loved kids. It's true. There isn't much younger Lindas anymore. We could go through that. There's a lot. I was realizing that the other day. I was like, all the names.
This is my baby Linda. Really, Linda?
Right. Oh man, it's true. There's so many names in our grade levels that are now because I remember my parents having, all their friends. I'm like, none of their friends, their names are people that are my age, and then it's strange that there's that generation
old people's names.
Old people's names.
Linda Lee, I think, was Bruce Lee's wife.
Oh, Linda.
Totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
It just occurs to me.
But a good fact. So Linda had this party after school. And nothing was planned. It wasn't oh, something's going to happen there. It was just okay, we're all going to this party. And, party back then, 6th grade is chips and TV and everyone just kind of hanging around. But there was no parents. And actually, her mom had come in once to check and left. And it was very strange to all of us that there was no parents there. We realized it was the first. And Linda clearly had an agenda for this party and her friends. They knew what was about to happen. And she pulled out a 2-liter, she took one of the 2-liter bottles of Coke, and she said to me, empty this. Because she wanted this to be the bottle. And we all realized that this was happening at this point, and we're all like, oh shit, this thing's really going to happen. We're going to play Spin the Bottle. Like, we've all knew about it, we've heard about it, we knew what was it. You do know, obviously.
Yeah.
And the thought processes that I had.
Processes.
To me, I'm like, I cannot wait to play this. I've been thinking about playing this. I'm so excited. I need to empty this bottle as soon as possible. That means drink the whole fucking bottle.
You didn't dump it.
I didn't dump it. Why wouldn't I dump it? Like,
Waste all that Coke?
Yeah. I was like, I can't waste. I guess that's. I was like, oh my god. I was chugging. I gave it to my friend. Drink some of this. Drink some of this.
79 cents.
We need to get this done so we could have an empty bottle. Fucking idiot. Anyway. So I finished this 2-liter bottle of soda, hand it back to Linda. She puts it down. We all circle up. And
I gotta pee. I gotta go pee.
Well, that was about halfway through. Yeah, of course. I was in intense pain, but that was just a side note. And somehow we, I remember there being like, okay, you land on somebody once, it's just a small little peck kiss. You land somebody twice, same thing. 3 times. Then you have to you kiss for 5 seconds on the lips, and then I think it was like even a higher number, like 7 times. If you land on the same person, you have to French kiss, tongue kiss in front of everybody for 10 seconds. And now this is a circle of kids that have never kissed before at all.
Wow!
And now we have the possibility of there being tongue kissing.
And how old were you?
Let's see, 6th grade. I was probably about 12.
12 or 13.
12, yeah. And my first spin, boom, Linda, kiss. A time around, boom, Linda, that's 2.
How many people?
Boom, Linda. It was a big group. It was probably, I would say, about like between 12.
So you went on a Linda run.
I went on a Linda run. It really was. It was incredible. But and mind you, this is not. It was like I had to wait for it to go all the way around the circle. So people are kissing all the way around. It gets to me again. I get 3 Lindas in a row. So boom, I have my first kiss right there. 5 second kiss.
There's no reverse or draw 2s.
No, exactly right, exactly. And then and at this point, because we were the first one that did 3. At this point, it was all eyes were on us because everyone was wondering, are they going to get to 5? Are they going to get to 7? And then we went around. We had been playing for an hour when we hit 5, or whatever it was to tongue kiss. We got to it, and it was my first kiss, and then my first French kiss, and we really were 2 kids putting our mouths together and sticking our tongues out as fast as possible into each other's mouth.
Wow.
Like literally just back and forth. That's what we had no idea what we were doing. And we were in 6th grade.
Yeah, well, when you're that young, you're a little like, I don't know, at least in my case, I was always feeling guilty even for having those feelings. Because that's how you're raised.
That's how conservative it was?
Yeah, like
Jesus.
you don't have to like, you're still a kid, you should study, you should not think about these things right now. It's all about growing up. Like
what would have happened if like you did? I mean, like
if you got caught.
Well, I mean, if you had that kind of party back then, like at that age, and word got out that you did, would there be repercussions or just
not really? I mean, it's like a case by case type of a sort of like approach, like family by family, but nothing drastic would take place, but a lot of like shame and like, why did you do this? Like you need to, it was always the emphasis was on, you need to study, you need to grow up, and you need to find your way. And otherwise, if you want to like focus on these things, you're going to be a waste. Or what was super weird was like dating or going out or having a girlfriend and all. had to be, at least back then, like when I was in high school, it was treated very seriously. But one thing that was sort of like accepted in the culture was like losing your virginity to a hooker.
That was
Yeah, that was like such a normal thing. Like,
It was.
Oh, I know a hooker or I know a brothel. And they're all illegal though, but they exist. Yeah, I mean, you should find a prostitute or something. Like,
so that was sort of a known thing. Like
that
if
was
you-
like a known, and it was super like okay.
Did parents ever bring their sons to make that happen? Like was that ever
to take them? No, the parents, like, as long as I know, no. However, when I went back 3 years ago after 17 years, I have a cousin, and he was talking about like this one piece of shit neighbor who was super unethical. He was like, yeah, instead of like babysitting his teenage like sons, he would get them to hookers, and then he would go out like with his friends. So the hookers were like basically babysitting the kids, were just like these two like experienced hookers will come and have like threesomes and like fuck the two young boys.
Oh, wait a minute, how old are the boys?
They were like somewhere between 12 to 16.
Jeez.
And then these two kids, the way I understood it, they grew up like fucking hookers since they were 12. I mean, these are like, it's like real poor parenting. I mean, you bring in two prostitutes,
Yeah.
and then he was like, yeah, they get bored if I bring the same prostitutes. I have to bring
Oh
like
my
two.
God.
So these kids by now, they
Now,
have
why the hell do they need babysitters at 12 to 16? That's the other thing.
Well, I guess the guy didn't want to left them alone so that they wouldn't do drugs.
Well, you don't want them doing that.
No.
So instead of drugs, you sleep with hookers.
Yeah.
Get an STD.
It's a good alternative.
Oh my God. that
Did
is-
did you have any friends that lost, or you could include yourself, lost their virginity to hookers? And-
I'm not going to talk about myself, but 99.99% of the people that I knew, they, at one point, they either lost their virginity to a hooker or it happened at some
Wow.
point. Yeah, it was
It
like a
was-
very
it was
common.
that common?
Yeah.
So, I take it where you're from, the hookers were everywhere? I mean,
Yeah, it
I
sounds
mean, my
like-
small town where I was, I mean, who knows? I don't know. I mean, obviously, across the river, that would be a problem in New York City, I guess.
Are you saying that
I am.
across the river, New Jersey is full of prostitutes?
No, your access to them.
Well, I mean, they were there.
Right.
I'm not going to say they weren't.
Yeah, got it. It's not like it's way more accessible than here.
So, I mean, what was the
Like Vegas accessible? Like
but
you
what-
go to a bar and they're all...
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Were there locations like that you would just go to, or
Yes.
or phone numbers, or how
Locations, and also like there were the way I remember back then. Now it's way more advanced, but I remember there was like, for example, there's this one kid in our high school, and he was like, yeah, I know so and so who knows like a couple of hookers, and then a bunch of kids like, yeah, let's go. And then that's how they found out about this house. And then there were other people in that location. And then later on, we found out there was a fight. And so they got their asses kicked. So it wasn't like a safe practice.
Right, it wasn't-
But
it wasn't sponsored.
in retrospect, the lifestyle back there was very risky. Like you would do shitty things or crazy things that were understood to be okay. Like, hey, let's go to this coffee shop. Why? Well, because like people from this other high school are gonna be there, and it's guaranteed we're gonna beat the shit out of each other. But you will go anyway, because that should. And by the same token, like other stuff, like hey, like so and so knows like a hooker, and then so and so. It's like, oh, okay, let's go. Do you have porn? Yeah, no, okay. And then
Do you have what?
porn, like a porn video, porn. Back then, they were like VCR.
Was that
Yes.
something you would need to bring with you? Is what you mean?
Sometimes, yeah. That's why. I don't know. It was pretty.
Is the hooker not enough cord?
Yeah, totally. I see. It's hard to explain. Like there are things that I can't even explain. But I remember like my parents, they sat me down and they told me like, listen. Oh, okay. It was like a sign of machismo and being a real man too. Like you're like sleeping with prostitutes,
right?
You're banging hookers and drinking alcohol and watching pornography. Like, but then one time, like many times, it happened to me that my parents sat me down and said like, listen, if you make a living, if people like you, if you're approached by a woman because you're a good guy and all, that's like manhood, not the fact that you have a big dick and you can headbutt 10 people in the face. Yeah.
It was bumping up your status kind of a thing a little bit more than it was
amongst like delinquents or like youngsters and all. So
now, do you remember? Did you remember early on crushes? Any girls that you would be infatuated with, or
when I was 12, we had to move to a different city, and then when we went back to visit, we had we had our neighbors, and a new family moved into our previous apartment, and I had some sort of like feelings for their daughter, who was at the time she was like at least 5 years older than me, and I don't know why I felt that way, but I was really like
you're like, why? She's not even a hooker.
With her. Yeah. Well, that's when I was very young. Like at that age, you don't like discuss hookers. And hookers, like the idea of like being this manly man or like finding hookers on these are all of these bullshit like macho types of like behavior starts in high school. So
gotcha. I remember. My earliest crushes were all. I look back at the type of girls that I liked, during elementary school and middle school, and they were all girls that nobody else had crushes on. Like that they were something about, they were maybe a little awkward or, gothic, or something that was about them that like they weren't, I didn't have crushes on the popular girls that like everybody liked. I had crushes on the girls that maybe deep down inside I thought, well, maybe I have a chance with these girls. Like maybe I'm not even going to allow myself to have a crush on the popular girl that everybody loves, the cheerleader, but I'm going to, maybe I got a shot with the girl that has, the smaller
Shingles.
The smaller hand. So maybe I just felt like maybe I was not giving myself any credit, so I thought like I was bringing my own fantasies down to a lower standards.
You were lowering your expectations.
Because I never even believed that I was going to act on any of these crushes anyway. I always felt like if it was going to happen, it needed to come to me, it needed to fall in my lap somehow. Because these early girlfriends, maybe this is part of it, was that these early girlfriends that I had in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, these were all different girls that came up to me and said, "Do you want to be boyfriend and girlfriend?" To me, just had to come up to me and said that, and I was like, "Yeah." I know, yeah, it sounds impressive, but when you're in first grade, it's not that impressive. So I thought I always was waiting. I never acted on any of my early crushes. I don't think I never, said let's go out or something.
Yeah, I never had the guts until 9th grade to ask a girl out, and it was the most terrifying. This is a girl who was in all my classes, right? And we were kind of everybody was friends. We were all a group of friends. We were in drama together. And I guess I told my friend I was going to ask her out today, and he was like shoving me towards her, and it was really bad. It was between classes, so I'm like, under the gun. Like, I had nothing in my head what to even fucking say. I was just like, will you go out with me? Like, just like that point blank. And she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend. I was like, and I knew she did. But I was just like, I just like this huge hurdle I had to get over.
You just needed to get over.
I just had to get over it.
That's hilarious. That was like you knew what the answer. Maybe that's what allowed you to do it was that you knew what you were going to get it.
Yeah, but you know what? Other dude she hooked up with.
Oh, while she was with
Yes!
this guy? Oh, okay. Well, then,
So,
yeah, you did get rejected.
Anyway,
Congratulations.
We'll leave her name out of it.
Sorry about that.
No, it's
It's kind of traumatizing.
My first crush that actually turned into something was I lived in an apartment building. She lived 2 floors above, and we were friends for a bunch of years. She was kind of like when we would have once after that party, that spin the bottle party, it continued to those kind of parties just started rolling.
it was such a success. You're like,
let's do it. Like every time after school, it became a thing. But she was in that group, so even though we were friends, we had already kissed 100 times because of these parties, and we had that kind of connection. So it we knew that was always a possibility. I started, quote unquote, dating her, which was really just the same as what we were always doing, except now we kiss every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And then my best friend, Tony, he started hanging out with her best friend. So it was the 4 of us for a good chunk of time where we were all in our first relationships, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
All at the same time. And we were friends, and we were all friends. So we were going to the movies together, and we were going to the mall together, and we were just, we would play a tickle game together on the floor, whatever that was,
Don't look at me when you say tickle game. Just look at the floor.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's my bad. Tickle game. But here's the crazy thing. After several months, I'm talking to Tony. It's just the 2 of us hanging out. Somehow, one of us, and I can't remember which one it was, probably me, said, "What if we traded girls?"
Damn.
Right? What if we now started
That's pretty gangster.
trade? But now, yeah. But at the time, there was nothing gangster about it. It seemed like a normal thing. Like it didn't seem like something that was like a crazy thing to do. It seemed like, hey, let's switch up. Let's switch things up right now. Like that's okay, right? Like people do that, not knowing that people don't really do that.
Did Tony not know?
Tony didn't know either. So
He was like, oh yeah, let's fucking do it.
yeah, he was like, well, okay. And I remember
The girls must have been like, what the fuck?
well, we hung out with them, and I forgot how we brought it up, but one of us said, hey, something's happened. Something has happened. And they were like, what's going on? And I think I'm pretty sure it was me that said, I have started having feelings for her, and pointed to the other girl. And it was just this weird silence. And I said, and Tony has started having feelings for you. So we're thinking maybe, we could try that. Just like that. They decided to go have a little talk in the other room together. And we waited. They came back and they said, let's do this. We are down for trading. And now, from that point on, after the weeks after that, we were the same hanging out foursome, but now we had different girls. We actually traded.
What age is this?
This is like 7th grade.
Oh my
8th grade. And then we traded back again. After a while, we were like, we liked it better the other way. They agreed, and we went back. We had actually bounced back to the original situation. And then
I was playing like Legend of Zelda by myself.
No, I hear you. Yeah, because
You're having it.
I was also like really like I wasn't a lonely person, but outside of high school or not elementary school, no, like middle school and high school, nobody hung out with me. Like everybody, I mean, because our house was kind of away from the high schools I went to, but people were friends outside.
Right.
But I didn't have like pretty much any friends. Like I was a semi-popular person inside the school,
right?
But outside, like nobody really like wanted to hang out. And I used to just go to this karate gym and like do Chuck Norris moves, and that was my whole life.
But and at the time, the school that you're when you're talking about, that was all guys at that point, right?
All guys, yeah.
Right. So.
But then again, like, so let's say a group of guys who were friends together, they would date a bunch of girls and they would party and all.
Yeah.
And I was not like invited.
Right.
And I never wanted to be invited because for some reason, like, now that I look back in retrospect, I always thought I am so much better than everybody else. I don't even want to look at these motherfuckers' faces outside of high school. Like I would just daydream, go to karate and all. But then I had this one girlfriend when I was around 16, and we just like hung out together, like outside mostly.
How'd you guys get together?
Well, she went to my sister's high school,
Gotcha.
so that's how I met
And she
her.
was your friend, or your sister's friend.
They knew each other. Yeah,
Was she like your first
that was my
relationship?
first. Like, yeah, it lasted 4 months.
4 months.
Three months. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And how did you pursue? Like, did you ask her out? Was it a setup? How?
Well, we
She knew this hooker.
She knew this hooker. No hooker situation. Well, I liked her, and then I don't think I like asked her out in like this so-called like the way it's understood in the United States, but we just like talked, and then we went somewhere,
Yeah.
and then we went somewhere else. That's it.
That was your.
There was just a flow of like hanging out, and then my mom found out, and she was like, "No, you need to end this right now." Because
Really?
yeah, because she said your grades are not good. You're already distracted enough, so you need to like focus on school.
Holy shit! I can't imagine.
So she was. Did you believe she was genuinely worried about your grades, or did she have another agenda to end the relationship?
No, she was worried about me like not being focused, not because one time I failed in geography, which it's like the simplest like test or exam.
I mean, your area did have the first civilization. You should have
I should have, yeah.
better been on top of that.
Kinda, yeah.
They would have
Unfortunately,
remembered that, right? If they're the first.
Yeah. And then my mom
Well,
said,
wait, that's
yeah.
now we're getting to social studies. This is just geography. This is
Geography.
You're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, my mom said if you failed geography, I can't imagine like how bad it's gonna be next year, and the year after.
Your handwriting's gonna slip after that.
Well, my handwriting was bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I used to deliberately like make my handwriting worse just to piss off the teachers.
Oof.
Like that was my way. I was very passive aggressive at some point. Like I would write like real bad handwriting.
What language are you writing in at the time?
Farsi.
Farsi.
Yeah.
And that's. I mean, that's. Is it mostly symbols? I mean, is it like the letters or?
It's like, well, letters that may look like symbols.
Right. Like that's what I mean. Like as in
Yeah.
like because I see other languages written and they're written with the letters we know of. Right.
Oh yeah. No, different letters. Like
Yeah.
different-
That makes me think of something. If I may ask a question.
You may ask a question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you ever write a love letter?
I don't think I ever did. I don't think I ever sat down and wrote someone a love letter. I know I handed notes to girls in that I knew in the hallway, like or through in class. Something tells me you did.
I did. Sadly. I sadly did. And it was I used to vacation. Every summer vacation, I would visit my father, who lived in a different state. I'd stay the whole summer with my father. So 3 months. And, there's a girl the same fucking girl, the same one.
Same
I
one.
told, yes,
Yep.
the story about earlier. I sent her a letter from New York, like in the middle of the summer, just, all the shit.
But was it like?
How much I missed her, and I wish we were together.
Oh, so it really was a love letter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Not that she was my girlfriend and we sent letters back. This is a girl I wanted to be my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And to show her that, I sent her a letter from upstate New York.
And did she ever write back?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, she
Basically, like,
responded.
I miss you too. And she'd avoid the whole topic. She'd
Right.
just talk about what she was.
Doing.
So you really liked her.
Oh, man. It was a problem for a while. It was a problem. It was a huge problem because there were girls that liked me. And I would make out with them. And I would, these are some of the first girl I ever kissed and stuff like that. But I'd never let myself consider dating them because I was so infatuated with this other girl that I was like, well, if I date her, then I'm going to screw up my chance with possibly getting with this other girl. So I never would do that. And these girls were fun girls. They were great. But I wouldn't, and it was a real dick thing to do.
You shut off everybody else
Yep.
for the forbidden fruit.
and man,
Well, you have the rest of your life to regret it. So there you go.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Like,
here's how fucked up it got at one point. Just real quick. Apparently, she was on the verge of going, all right, I was going to date her. This is my senior year, our senior year. And she had gone out to her car, and my friends had wrote a letter to her urging her to date me.
Oh, man.
Like saying, it's really fucked up, and but being aggressive about it without
really?
my knowledge.
Oh,
And that turned her off to the whole thing.
she probably
And I
thought
was
you
like,
put them up to it or something.
Yeah. Oh, I was so pissed.
That sucks.
Anyway,
I don't know.
so love letters from you?
None.
And were they in Farsi?
Yeah, none whatsoever.
None.
Were they were little
yeah.
pictures written on a page?
None. I was always like kind of like suppressing a lot of my feelings, and I was like kind of ashamed that I have the following feelings, and so which is not very healthy because I did some other stuff to take it out of me.
Did you feel like that was a common thing with guys in your age group? That there was the feeling repressed of feelings just because of
The culture,
the culture, and, and how
geography
parents
and all.
were.
Yeah, we all like suffered from a combination of shame, guilt, rage,
Yeah,
but we also aggressively pursued certain things in ways that are a little too extreme. But but then at the same time, like we're always like, oh yeah, one of the topics that one time we talked about it for, I remember like half an hour in high school was like, so do you ask your own wife to give you a blowjob, or should it just be a hooker? And we're like, hooker, bro. Like, your wife should not do that, man. You're married to her, you fucking piece of shit. What the fuck are you talking about? Look at this fucking asshole. And I was like,
Wow.
no. But if you're like married, like you're together forever, no, shame on you. Like that was like 9 out of 10 people involved in that conversation, like really like denounced the guy who was fantasizing about asking his future wife to give him a blowjob. Like that was one topic that was just back and forth. We talked about this one session. But now things are very different. Like now there are even like manuals in Farsi on how to give like oral pleasure to your partner.
really.
Yeah, and-
Not to go back, but at first, when you were 16, and you were with that girl for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Was that the first time that you thought things could go a little bit further than, like, you were going to get a little bit closer? Did you get close enough that you thought this could go further than kissing? Like, is this going to go to another level?
I definitely thought about it that way.
Yeah, like this is a little bit more.
And it advanced to some extent,
Right.
but nothing like too crazy.
Now, did you have guilt? Did you feel like you were doing something wrong?
Ironically, after that incident, no, I was pretty happy. I felt like, yeah, I'm a man. Yeah,
You've been happy ever
some
since.
Some girl liked me or whatever.
A little bit after that foursome situation, at the beginning of high school, as a freshman in high school, and I don't know if, Matt, you had this.
No, I never had a foursome until...
Just making sure and repeating it. If it was this situation where you grew up, where the private schools had the reputation nearby of having the sluttier girls, or the religious private schools, specifically Catholic schools.
Yeah.
That was so for around us.
There
growing
was a
up,
Catholic school, but it was too far away. It wasn't other side of town. No one knew.
There was Holy Angels near us in northern New Jersey, and a couple other schools. Holy Angels we called Holy Whores. Right, because everyone, like the consensus was that they are so repressed by their parents. They're not, because of religion, that all they want to do is get out of their schoolgirl clothes as fast as possible once they're out of sight from their parents. And you got to date a holy angel's girl if you want to get anything. So now when that got out, and that was becoming a very well-known thing. And all the guys in our school were branching out and not focusing on the girls in our school anymore. And that was true with me and my friend. Again, with Tony, we started dating these two friends from Holy Angels. Now, Holy Angels had some transfer situations. I remember through other Catholic schools from other parts of the country. Like it was sort of like exchange programs and everything. So there was this one
We'll
girl.
send you our whores.
That's right. It was a whore exchange.
Exchange program.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of hooker and whore talking
Totally.
about. Yeah. So the girl that I was connected through friends from was a transfer from Louisiana. Or she was one of these transfer girls, and she was older. She was about 3 years older, either junior or senior, and I was a freshman. But we got together, and she could drive. She had a license, so she would drive us all around, and it was great, a lot of fun. And sure enough, physically way more advanced than I was, and proved it pretty quickly, but we never had sex. And I, at the time, was a virgin, and I knew now this was a possibility. This, like, from what I heard from her friend, this is something that might happen at some point, and it was, a big deal. So, little time goes by, and she is going back to visit her family, going back for a week to Louisiana. And she calls me, and I remember specifically I was homesick that day. It wasn't really. I pretended to be sick so I could have a day off. And I'm home, and she calls me, and she says, "You need to come over this afternoon. I'm leaving tomorrow to go back to Louisiana for a week." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, and she goes, "You got to come by and say goodbye." "Okay. And you got to fuck me." That's what she says. "Okay." Hung up. Oh my God!
Red alert!
Oh my
Red
God!
alert.
It's happening. This is gonna happen. And I get dressed, and I'm halfway out the door. My mom goes, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I got to see." And I tell her, I even say, "I got to say my girlfriend's leaving. I just wanted to say a quick goodbye." And you were home from school.
Oh no!
You were sick. You're sick. You can't go anywhere.
Oh, I know where this is going.
No, you don't. Right? So I'm devastated because I can't get out of this. I cannot get out of the house. And I don't live in a house where it's an apartment. So it's not like I'm climbing out the window. If I do, I'm dead. And like, I had to, I couldn't go. I called her. I said, I'm not coming. And she, all right, that was it. Left. It didn't happen. I'm devastated. Absolutely devastated. While this girl's away on this trip, her friend tells me to come over. I go over to her house, and she sits me down and says, "You need to know something." I go, "What?" She goes, her friend wants to have sex with you. I'm like, "Oh, I know." I know she does. And she's like, "Well, there's a reason, because she's pregnant, and she wants to have sex with you and say it's your kid, that you made her pregnant, because it's her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend in Louisiana, who got her pregnant and is not talking to her anymore."
Holy shit! And you dodged that?
And my mom possibly changed my life, or at least saved my life.
Oh my God!
I mean, because I mean, if there would be no thoughts of, "Oh, is it anybody else's? We need to do a DNA test." Like, it would have been like, "Yeah, it's mine." She definitely would have convinced me to probably not wear protection, because that's how I was at the time, not thinking about anything other than doing it. I'm sure she would have had that pull, and who knows? I would have done it, and
You're
she
right.
would have.
I had no idea that was where that story was going.
Told you. So she comes back after a week. This is where the story gets
Yeah.
really dicey. Is that she comes back after a week, and I full on confront her about it. "I heard you're pregnant. I knew what you were doing." And she called me up actually and said, "Now you got to come over and fuck me." Okay, I'm on my way. And I get there, and this is what I throw this at her. I'm like, "No, this isn't happening, because I know what you're doing." And her face dropped, and she, it was true. It was all true. And she just lost it. And I was like, "I'm done with you. Like, goodbye." And I left, and I never saw her again, but found out from her friend that she, a couple days after that, made several attempts of giving herself an abortion.
Oh no!
And really, actually, hurt herself. like threw herself down the stairs.
Oh, my God.
Like she was obviously something really wrong with this girl, but I was ready to go when she asked me to. I had no idea who she was.
Wow.
Yeah, never heard about her ever again after that.
So did she? So you don't know if she had an abortion or not?
I heard that, she did.
She did.
Yeah,
got it,
she did.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was part of her trying or hurting herself, but I know that she did. I know she went back to Louisiana, and then I never heard. I think a couple weeks after that, I didn't even talk to her friend ever again. But
Oh man,
yeah, that's
that's quite. A
and it was
story.
just Mother's Day. So every Mother's Day, I call my mom. I'm like,
Thank you.
Did you tell your mom the
no, I
story?
never told her.
Oh, you need to.
I do need to. I feel like I've gone so long without telling
Oh
her.
my God, that's amazing. You got to tell her that story.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Well, I'm sure she'll hear this.
Yeah.
So consider it. It's told. She knows it now.
Great.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, any near misses? Anything ever happened that you
No,
thought?
thank God, no. I mean, I've had nightmares, but nothing. That
In
ever happened.
college, condom breaking, but it was way overreaction to it. Like,
Just break.
I had never, I've only gotten my wife pregnant with my son.
Oh,
That's
congratulations.
all
That's good.
that's the only pregnancy that has.
Any pregnancy scares?
Well, I mean, similar. There were a few like condom incidents, but not too many of them. I had an experience in which the girl I was seeing was not having her period, and I would just sit down and try like examining my options, and also like I would just try to think back and see like what might have gone wrong that could have resulted in some kind of a pregnancy, but I couldn't find an answer to either. Like I couldn't examine my options in a rational.
What were the options? Like, what would be the options in that situation? Like, was abortion an option? How was that, or adoption? That kind of stuff.
I mean, it would be up to her.
No, but I mean, what was allowed? in
Oh
the
no.
country?
These things happened here.
Oh,
in the
gotcha.
States when
Okay.
I was a college.
This is
student.
further down the line. Got it.
But then one time she told me, "Listen, I would rather die, but to have a kid with a moron like you."
Oh my God.
And she said, "If I'm pregnant, I'm gonna go have an abortion." And for some reason, I kind of like calmed down a little bit, even though I was insulted as being a moron or an irresponsible person. But I felt like, nice. I'm not gonna be a father. Yeah. But then she ended up having her period, and then we broke up. Or, to be honest, she dumped me. We did not break up. She dumped me, which
That couldn't have been a surprise.
Well,
at
Yeah,
the
no, it
time,
was
after she
expected.
had
Did the
already told you.
I mean, did the phone call or whatever the communication end the relationship, where she was like, "I'd rather die than have a."
well,
child
actually,
with you?
We were in a.
I would be
planned-
like, "Oh, I guess we're done dating then." Right?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I just want to make sure she's not pregnant because I couldn't just walk. I wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make
no, I see
sure
what you're
like
saying.
I'm a normal,
Yeah.
normal, nice human being rather than like fuck you, bitch, I'm out of
Right,
here.
right.
No, I was like, okay, let's see where this goes, and then once this is finalized, then we can like
Yeah.
stay friends.
Did you ever, looking back when you were younger, did you ever lie about, girls to your friends, like whether what you've done or any relationship? Did you ever like make up somebody that didn't exist? Like you were in a long distance relationship, or what you had accomplished so far in that point.
And then I went to this bodybuilding gym that was like pretty close to where we used to live. And then there was this super uber skinny guy who had a health condition. He couldn't gain any weight, but he was like reading a lot of books about bodybuilding. So he just took it on him to train me. So I started pumping iron. I got really big. And then then one time I was walking by the bus station and a bunch of girls looked at me and And I felt really good. So anytime somebody would say, "Hey, are you seeing someone?" Like an idiot, I would say, "No, but the other day I was walking by the bus station. You had to see how these girls were like all like
I totally.
shock and awe, because I bench press 120 kilos now, which was like a big deal back then. It was like, no, they were looking at you because you walk like a moron, like you're crazy, like you're not a normal person because of all the like shouting and yelling in the military or whatnot. I was like maybe acting weird or something, but
Yeah.
You knew very honest people. People that really spoke their mind to you.
yeah, they were like, no, you're weird or
You're a
something,
moron.
but you haven't, you haven't, like, yeah, you haven't been taking care of yourself. Yeah, anyway.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Well, team, that was supreme.
I felt it was.
That was
amazing.
Yeah.
I really like talking about how terribly awkward I was.
Yeah, I feel kind of. I feel fun. I feel like I got that off my shoulders.
Good job.
I'm depressed now, just remembering the past.
I'm gonna go on Facebook and look at girls I should have asked out.
Yeah.
Well,
K through 6. Tonight's K through 6.
I'm gonna deactivate my social media.
Team Supreme, team.
All right,
Team
thank you.
Supreme.
Team Supreme.